Hi everyone, just wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about the Triangle Inequality Theorem, which is part 2 of our discussion on inequalities involving triangles. So the Triangle Inequality Theorem just states that if you have a triangle, it must follow this property. It must follow the property that if I added any two sides of the triangle together, in terms of their length, then it will be bigger than the third side. Not bigger, greater than or equal to, it will be bigger than, or greater than, I should say, right? So if I took A here, it has to be smaller or less than B plus C. Okay, so if I added these two sides together, it must be a greater number than what A is. If I added B and A together, it must be a greater number than what C is. If I add A and C, it must be a greater number than what B is. That's it. That is all that the Triangle Inequality Theorem states. And if a triangle, if I give you three sides and they do not follow that property, then you cannot actually, it's not actually a triangle, all right? So for instance, if we were trying to look at these three sides, or these three segments, could they actually be a triangle? Well, what do we have to do? Well, what's 8 plus 9 is equal to 17. Is 17 bigger than 17? No, because it is not. This could not be a triangle. Okay, so not a triangle. Okay, it doesn't matter that the other two are fine, right? If I added 9 and 17, that's bigger than 8. And if I added 8 and 17, that's bigger than 9. Doesn't matter that those two are fine. It just matters that it fails even once out of those three. There's only 3 situations, so you do have to check them all. But even though it passes the other two because it fails one of them by having it equal, it would not be a triangle. Okay, so that's kind of the situation where like you had like a really big base and then they just almost didn't quite make it. Okay, all right. So let's look at something like this. If you got that two sides of the triangle were 25 and 38, well, you would need to be able to figure out what the other side is, right? So if I had X as my third side, I could figure that piece of information out. So I know that 25 plus X needs to be bigger than 38. Okay, 38 plus X needs to be bigger than or greater than 25, which simple enough. And we also know that the third one would be that 25 plus 38 has to be greater than X. Okay, so these are the 3 things that we had to satisfy. So, well, we can simplify this. 25 plus X has to be greater than 38. So that means X has to be greater than 13. Okay, so X has to be greater than 13. This here, if I did it this way, this would be X has to be greater than negative 13. But the problem is, I already have 2, right? So if I had a number line here, here's 13, way down here is negative 13. I'm essentially here saying that X has to be bigger, and here I'm saying it over here. So we're actually going to choose this. We have to look at which part do we pick. Well, we're going to pick this part, not this part, because it doesn't satisfy this one, right? If I put in negative 2 here, that doesn't satisfy this inequality. It satisfies this one, but it does not satisfy this one. So our goal is to satisfy all 3, all right? Now, the other one basically is saying that 25 plus 38, so that would be 58 plus 5, 63, is greater than X. So that essentially is saying that if over here I drew 68, it has to be less than that. Okay, so what am I actually going to have as a final region? Well, I'm going to have the overlapped region. So anywhere between 13 and 68 will work and satisfy all 3. We have to find the region where all 3 are satisfied. If I go beyond 68, this inequality is not 63. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm writing 68. If I go beyond 63, that inequality is not going to be satisfied, okay? So I can't do anything bigger than 63. If I go less than 13, this inequality is not going to be satisfied. Even though this one is not. We need all three of them to be satisfied, which is essentially why we can't do anything with this. All right, so this is the region of values that I could have to make my triangle, which is a pretty sizable region. Okay, last thing that we would need to look at is if you get something like this, we would need to figure out the range of values for x. So let's kind of go through this process. X plus 5 has to be greater than x plus 11. We also know that x plus 11 has to be greater than x plus 5. And then finally, we know that x plus 11 plus x plus 5 has to be greater than x. All right? So now we'll have to simplify all of those. I'm going to use different colors so we don't lose track. So this would be 2x plus 5 is greater than x plus 11. X is going to be greater than 6 when we simplify that. All right, so there's one piece of information that we care about. I'll use it. Let's graph that. 6. X is greater than 6. Let me use a different color now. Let's use pink. So I have 2x plus 11 is greater than x plus 5. So x is greater than negative 6. Okay, here's my negative 6. Again, this is probably not really going to be very helpful for us, right? Because this is this is restricting us already. So that pink line probably not going to be very helpful to us at all. Now let's do this last one. So this will be 2x plus 16 is greater than x. Okay, so I'm going to bring that over there. Oops. X has to be greater than negative 16. We'll just pretend that's the scale. So we have to satisfy all three of these. So just from looking at this, right, just from looking at this right off the bat, we don't get that range of values. We're just basically saying, where are all three of them true? Well, they're only true when we have x is greater than 6, right? Because that covers these other ones. Right, if I had negative 11, not going to satisfy this one. If I had negative 3, not going to satisfy this one. So I have to pick this one because this is the only thing that covers all three. All right. And just to kind of confirm what I mean by that is if I plug in, let's say negative 15. Okay, let me just plug in negative 15. So, well, first of all, that makes no sense, right? How could I plug in negative 15? So actually, let's pick something a little closer to that. What if I pick 2? All right, let's just pick 2. I want to plug in 2. X equals 2. Let's see what happens. So I get 2. This would be 7. This would be 13. 2 plus 7 is 9, which is not greater than 13. However, once I get to the 6 area, and if you plug in one of those endpoints, you should see that it kind of will create something close. So if I said 6, right, that would make this an 11. That would make this one 17. So 6 plus 11 is 17, which is why we can't include 6. But if I go anything bigger than 6, right, so if I plug in 7, it should now work. Okay, so if I plug in 7, 7, 12, 18. So 7 plus 12 is 19, which is bigger than 18. 18 plus 12 is 30, which is well bigger than 7. And then 7 plus 18 is 25, which is bigger than 12. All right. So these are different possibilities that you could end up with. You could end up with a kind of a middle range where it would no longer work. you could end up with just a situation like this, where it's only exclusively going to be bigger. All right. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and have a great day.